I'm just gonna have you introduce yourself.
Okay,
Tell us about who you are, what you do.
sure.
So,
My name is Aaron Miller, and I lead the big band here at BYU Idaho, but I'm also the director of jazz studies. I teach jazz bass, classical bass, and a lot of the jazz courses like jazz improvisation, jazz history, jazz methods, things like
all right. So, you actually don't know what my project is about, do you?
that. I don't.
So, just kind of the rundown. What I'm doing is I'm creating a series, and each episode I interview a different musician in a different genre because we want to know the why and why each genre is important,
Sure,
the history behind it,
sure.
and because I want everyone to appreciate each genre. There's so many musicians that are so like snotty and uppity and like, oh, classical only. You know, like have you met those people?
I may have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it bugs me
Okay.
just because
You're gonna advocate for all the styles.
yeah,
Great.
because they all have a place and they're all here for a reason, right?
Do you have any styles that you feel that way about?
Well, I have my personal preference, but I enjoy all styles.
Okay. I was just curious.
I mean, before like if you asked me a few months ago, I would have said I hate jazz. But
Yeah.
that's because
Okay.
I didn't play jazz.
Okay.
I still don't play jazz well, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But I think you have to appreciate each genre.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Yes. Yes. I think sometimes though we can even with that we can select for specific genres,
Yeah.
right? So go listen to some like really heavy death metal and
Okay,
get back
well,
to me and then tell me
I was getting.
it's okay. No,
I think I'm with you on that one,
I'm
actually.
actually I think actually I think any music done well, you typically typically people that don't like a certain style of music haven't listened to enough of it to appreciate the aesthetic and what's going on. They might not be able to connect with the aesthetic, but I do think that there is in every style and in every genre, there is something there because all genres of music have their own hierarchy of what is important and what creates the connection with the audience that they're going for. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all, and not to side step
No.
your question or to push us in a different direction, but I think we all have to check our biases when there's something that we hear and we're like, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. The hierarchy of like importance in
Yeah.
each genre. Jazz, what would
Yes.
you say?
It primarily started as a dance music, and so that's I think the way the time feels. A lot of times we call that swing, but it just depends on what the specific style of it is. If it's traditional, it's going to come out of that swing style.
Mm-hmm.
But also, improvisation is a really strong and important element. This music really kind of tracked the it goes hand in hand. I don't think you can study jazz without studying um, the civil rights movement as well, and how disenfranchised black musicians were treated in the United States, and how jazz music developed. It goes hand in hand, and I think that's the important part. So improvisation is super important because it kind of points to that freedom within bounds,
Mm.
and and there's also a part of it which is looking at the injustice of an early 20th century United States, um, and needing to express themselves in a place that was safe and free.
Yeah. Um, we've talked a little bit in our class about like pivotal figures in jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And can you name a few and like what they did specifically that was new and like groundbreaking?
Sure. So I would say the first one that I would bring up is Louis Armstrong. And the reason why I bring him up is because he really taught, especially like the New York dance bands, the jazz bands that were in New York, what it felt like to play in a swing style. So he came out of New Orleans, probably played in what we would call a traditional style, but later kind of became swing and kind of transitioned into that. And the reason why he's important is because up until that time, the dance bands in New York were very, as you put it, a little bit uptight and hoity-toity, right? So he demonstrated like how you can do that, and there's actually really early recordings of him playing when he first came to New York with these New York bands, and you can hear a very distinct difference in the way he interprets the time and where he feels it in kind of a very relaxed, loose way versus the way the band is playing the time. And you can kind of hear them transition even through the tune to like kind of loosen up and be a little bit better with that. So he's one figure that I would put in there. I would say Ella Fitzgerald is really important. She would be somebody that I would listen to mostly as a vocalist, but also she just really influenced improvisers in a big way. And the reason why is that you had this back and forth between the horns trying to sound like vocals and vocals trying to sound like horns, and she kind of like would have been the vocal representation of what a lot of horn players were trying to sound like. John Coltrane, I think he brought a spirituality to the music that was really important, especially considering the elements of freedom that we talked about and civil rights. Ornette Coleman, he was groundbreaking in breaking away from the constructs that had kind of been put in place. That's a really short list, but I'll stop there.
No,
there's many more, but I think that's a good starting.
Yeah, thank you. And now some more like personal questions just about you. How did you end up here? Why jazz? Why BYUI?
So when I was younger, I was drawn to this music because of those elements that we talked about. So this idea of being able to express yourself freely, maybe feeling like you're in a position where you're not able to completely express yourself or be free. I grew up in a home where it was just my mom. And so she did her best and she did a great job. And I love her dearly. And we had 5 of us at home and she was working 2 or 3 jobs. And it was, there was a lot of chaos and things like that at the house. And I could always kind of lean into this music. And it just spoke to me. So I started playing professionally or semi-professionally. I don't know how you define that. At about the age of 14. And then I went on the road with the Glenn Miller Orchestra when I was 21. And I knew that I wanted to be in this music, and I won this job straight out of college. So when I was 27, I started teaching here, and right after I finished my master's degree. So before that, like I said, I'd been on the road, and I just always looked and tried to find communities and areas where it's supportive of the music that I love, and this is absolutely one of those.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. Well, do you have anything else? Any more comments?
No, but
thank you so much.
Go check out some death metal and tell me what you think.
Yeah, that's my homework. Thank you so much, Dr. Miller. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yep.